Well, it turns out that I am Dave.
And I am Sean.
And we are Barstools and Bandtalk. Here with another barn burner interview with a band that was just introduced to us recently. Made out of Red Sun Rising and another band called Wilson and a brand new singer. They're from parts all over the United States, but we're looking forward to hearing a little bit more about it. Why don't you bring them on, Sean?
Well, you know, we're always looking for new folks, new artists to feature, and it's nice when somebody reaches out to you and says, "Hey, we have something on the go." And Jamie Roberts, who represents them, sent us some information, and their tune, "The Fray," which we're going to talk about. I was absolutely blown away. I'm not one of those guys that is big on necessarily new stuff. And I heard it and I instantly liked it. I thought the production was great. So really interested and really excited to talk to the boys, Ryan and Sabastian from Monarch on Barstools and Bandtalk.
And here they are.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. So Sebastian, you're coming to us from where?
Norman, Oklahoma.
And Ryan?
Macedonia, Ohio.
So that in itself is interesting. So one of the things, the pandemic starts last year, people are live streaming, and I really think we talk about this a lot. This is something that I think you're going to have to keep in your sort of bag of tricks, right? That it's not going to go away, and the people that perfected it. Your album, I guess you guys did it mostly remotely and online and over the net. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, almost completely. And it was it was certainly a learning curve. Everything. I think total days in the room as a band. What would you say, Sebastian? Maybe 10?
Yeah, that's about it.
It's 10 days. You fly in, get a weekend, everybody goes home, and you have travel restrictions. So yeah, we basically had to write and record an album via email.
Wow, that's awesome. What about the video?
That was a separate flight. Yeah, we recorded vocals and the video in, what was that, like 4 days?
4 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So you'd have these limited windows. Even with the video, it was a challenge. So a lot of these people were videographers that worked for like things like Netflix, right? And Brad Gollowin directed the video. I've done a ton of work with him. And even we had contracts we had to sign. We had to take turns being in the room. And if you notice in the video, the band's never all together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice that. It's neat that you pointed it out because it's almost like you let us a trade secret or other, but very well put together. And I was saying in the intro, the production, super clean. I mean, it's just such a nicely produced tune. You were mentioning that you work with somebody on that. Did you guys all kind of produce it together, or how did that come to be?
Go ahead, Sebastian.
This song was basically finished whenever we started working with Bob. He just added a little bit of flair to it. Some of the songs that we have need more production. Some of them don't, and this is one of the ones that didn't really need much.
So collectively, how long have you been together now? Is this band Monarch? How long have you been together for?
10 months, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
We flew Sebastian out for the first time in June of last year and auditioned him vocally. And that's when we did The Fray. And this is nobody's asked us this yet, but we had actually sent him the music. The bassist and I had written the music and sent it to him because the next step, we knew we had I liked his voice. We knew we had something in common as far as influences, but does he like what we're working on? Right. And he showed up to my place. This is like day one of actual work, right? So we messed around a little bit the first night. We walk in the first day, fire up the recording. This is one of the songs that I usually have like some idea where I want to go vocally. I've got nothing. And Sebastian in one take sang that song.
Wow.
Yeah. And I knew right then and there, if we could keep working at that pace, obviously it was going to work. But it was like we were so on the same page that and that's such a crucial part. It's like, okay, he looks the part, he sounds the part. That's great. But are we going to be friends? Can we work together? Can we write together? And, the guy sings the song on day one. The guy, he's not right there, but on day one in this first try. And that's what we did. And everything, nothing else was that fast, but it was a cool experience.
Well,
You raised such a good point.
People don't realize a band is like a sports team. You need, you can be great players, but if there's no chemistry, it's just like, and you take, super bands from years and they just can't get their act together. You take a band like AC/DC, who I absolutely love, but everybody that comes into that band has a chemistry. So, just for you guys to click like that. Now, the question I have, how many people did you audition before you got Sabastian? Okay, that's interesting.
So that's not a fair answer. We made a Facebook post, right? Like kind of like a flyer on the wall, if you will, but in 2021 or 2020, I woke up to 150 auditions the first morning. I mean, I was in bed and I was thrilled because there was a part of me that was worried that people wouldn't care that I wanted a new singer or whatever, because I had come out of a previously fairly successful project and so had the bass player from a different project. And I was going through them, a lot of great people, but there wasn't like that one. And he was the fifth audition and he did Somebody to Love by Queen.
Oh.
And he did it so well that we didn't believe it was him. So we made Sabastian re-audition a cappella on Zoom, like in front of us. And I think it was like right on that couch he's on right now.
It was the floor right here. Not laying.
Okay. So anyway, but yeah, that's so I don't know. I only needed to hear that. And there were a million other great people. They were really, really good. But that was it for us. And I don't regret it. I mean, a little bit, but.
I love what you said, though, Ron, because Sean and I talk about this a lot because we've done that. We've done the same thing. We're still doing it. It's part of the whole thing about being in a band is like the experience that you're going to have to go through. You're traveling in the band. You're staying at shitty hotel rooms. You're staying at really crappy band houses. You're going to sometimes make a lot of money, sometimes make no money. And how you're all going to work together with that. And you can only really do that with a good friend, with a buddy. You know what I mean? So that's part of what you said there. And I appreciate what you said there because a lot of folks don't get it.
Yeah. You have to, there has to be a shared passion and a shared drive because those times will get rough, just like you said. I'm sure you guys have experienced that. And it makes or breaks a lot of people and not just the band itself. But that was another thing about the audition process too, is Sabastian was really clear about the sacrifices he was willing to make in order to do this, because a lot of people just assume as soon as you have like a hit song or something, like everybody's living in mansions. And that's just not the case. It's not the case all in the music business. And when we were 2 years out from my last release from another project, we knew that going into this, things are going to get tough. And we wanted to make sure Sabastian didn't have this idea of what this, and we don't know what it's going to be like yet, of course, but there's going to be times where we're going to be really, really uncomfortable. And he was into that idea, I mean, most of the time. So like our rhythm section, we're in a band called Wilson. And when our old bands would cross paths, most of the time we were doing these great venues and opening for these really big bands, but we were 6 of us in mini vans or you know what I mean? Like cargo vans with trailers attached and climbing out and trying to get like show ready without a shower, so we did a whole lot of that until things picked up. And it took a while. It took years to get, to that next place.
Well, one of the most unglamorous things I've ever seen in my life, you guys familiar with the band Airborne?
Yeah.
They were playing here in Halifax and their tour bus, the shower broke on their tour bus and had been broken for 3 days. And they did 3 shows in a row without showers. And they were pros and they were really cool, but they were just like, and they had a beautiful tour bus and no shower. And I'm just thinking, wow, I mean, you know what I mean? The stuff that people don't realize that you go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you could get them just whenever you could get them, get that shower. I mean, we did a week. I've done a week. There was a show that was so hot. We were in San Antonio at this huge festival, and the Scorpions were headlining, and they only had enough green rooms. So the green room was ours till noon, and then it was the Scorpions after that. But I was so far sweaty and so far gone from this tour that I was like, I don't care that it's noon. I'm going to do it. I don't see anybody in there. And wouldn't you know it, I came out with nothing but like a little skimpo towel on, dragging my beat up suitcase, and there's the Scorpions. The green room. And here I am naked, and they were really nice about it. They were like, take your time.
Blackout! Already had a blackout.
So Sebastian, we talked in the last segment about your audition. What's your background? Because Oklahoma, never been there. I mean, I know Garth Brooks is from there, but I don't know what the rock scene is like. What's your background there?
Just playing a lot of the local places in Tulsa. Tulsa is basically the music hub of Oklahoma. I mean, you have gigs outside of that, but we would travel. I used to travel like Fort Smith and OKC and stuff like that, but really Tulsa is where it's at musically. So, yeah.
And so, will you be playing what type of? Were you playing cover circuit, original stuff? What were you doing?
Yeah, I've attempted to do covers before, and it doesn't hold my interest like doing original. So it's always been original, and so because of that, we usually were restricted to the live music venues, not the normal bar scene. Because most of the bars, it's always cover bands, unless there's like a benefit.
Yeah, we're similar here too. I used to play up in Toronto and outside of Toronto, and if you played an original, you had to say it was somebody else's tune, or you get fired. Like that's 100% right. So, and in terms of influences, because I was trying to pinpoint your voice. And I'm a drummer who absolutely loves singers, and I'm usually pretty good, but I couldn't really kind of pinpoint what your wheelhouse was in terms of your influences.
So I grew up on classic rock. That's mostly what I still listen to. That and like grunge. Chris Cornell is one of my biggest influences, but Freddie Mercury. I mean, really, name anything from like the 70s, 60s. The Beatles is the main one for songwriting, though. Like, it's always been. I find the chord changes and the key changes interesting, and how songs aren't just, the same from beginning to end. That's a kind of like.
So where are y'all based from now? Because here's you in Oklahoma. I know the bass player was from Michigan, I think, and then you're in Ohio. So what's your home base for Monarch?
If anything, it's probably here, Akron, Ohio area. This is where everybody comes when we do get together, which is, again, this is few and far between. I think these guys Sebastian's only been out, I think, 3 times now. So I would say this is Grand Central Station for now. I don't know what that looks like in the future. But we are planning a little session in July, and it'll be the first time we've been in the room with the producer too. So this was a guy that I had some previous success with, Bob Marlette, and I just like his style, and I haven't seen him in 5 years in person. So we all once things broke and everyone got vaccinated or whatever, and they opened everything up. We talked about doing this end of June, early July thing, and that'll be the first time all 5 of us are together. So.
Okay, so what are the numbers like? Like, are you able to play in Ohio right now?
I think so.
Hmm.
I think so. I think but like as of yesterday.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and if we wanted to shows in Oklahoma right now, they never closed. I think they closed for maybe like a month.
Yeah, Sebastian was doing shows like the whole time, like going up and guest starring at like Van Halen tribute shows and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, up here, our thing's been kind of all over the map, but we opened and we closed, and then we opened slowly, and we were doing a bunch of shows, and it was reduced capacity, and then they closed it again. Then it's been all over.
Where are you guys located?
Well, we're in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is East Coast of Canada, right? We're our entire province is about 1 million people. We were lucky with our numbers; that was fine. But the problem is that kind of the communication has been awful. So 3 weeks ago, they said they were closing all the schools down, and then on Monday they said, "Oh, we're going to open them for the last 3 weeks of the year." So that's kind of what's been going on. Similar thing for you guys, or?
I mean, Ohio was more rigid for sure than Oklahoma, as Sebastian said. There were a lot of things closed, but they weren't closed like Los Angeles closed. Like you could still go in. Everybody just had a mask on, and not much changed from there. The gyms got affected the most. I have friends that own gyms around here that I was going to, especially heavily before. And, obviously people are sweating and you can't wear a mask for everything. And I think they got hit the hardest. A lot of them closed, and there were a lot of them selling equipment around here in Ohio.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think it's probably the same everywhere, and I mean, we can sit there and get frustrated about it, but I think we're coming out the other end, and down where you guys are, I mean, I'm seeing all kinds of different acts that are announcing tour dates this summer down there, and watching hockey games the other night, and there's 25,000 people in the stand, so it's good to see.
Yeah, it is. It feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go any further, Ryan, Bengals or Browns?
Browns.
Okay, that's
a good question, though. You don't know where I'm located, probably exactly, but Browns all day.
I do. No, I do. So.
Oh, okay. I actually don't miss a game. So
nice.
Yeah. And we're looking good this year. Do you guys follow the NFL?
Oh yeah, I'm a Giants fan. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay. No problem. We're gonna have I think we're gonna have a great season this year. So.
Okay, Sebastian, Blake Shelton, or anybody else?
I listen to only country from like back in the day, to be honest. Yeah, I'm the long-haired country folk like the Waylon Jennings and stuff like that. It's a little bit more my wheelhouse. So
right on.
You're a throwback, brother. You really are. I'm getting that. It's I play in a band with a keyboard player who's like that. He's 27 going on 62, and all his stuff is he loves the hair metal genre. He loves the 70s. He's not big on the new stuff, and it's really neat because it shows in his playing. So now, are you guys? And I apologize. I was kind of trying to pick this out. I didn't find it anywhere your promo, but are you guys part of a label? You're going to shop this independent? You're going to keep it on your own and kind of do it your way? How are you guys doing it?
Yeah, so I started a record label, and that's what we're signed to. It's called Brahma Creative. My business partner is actually on his way into my house right now from Chicago. But yeah, Monarch is on Brahma. That was kind of the push I needed to get back into the music business, to be honest with you, was to have an opportunity to try to do this again, but do it on my own terms without the trappings of the music industry. Felt like we had enough experience and we knew enough people. And once we had Monarch figured out and put together, we had something we believed in, and it's going great right now. And I'm really glad we did it this way. And I don't know what the future holds, but maybe more bands to come on this label. I'm working with a band right now that I really like. I mean, I won't be in it, of course, but I'm just helping them with some writing and production and stuff.
Sure. So tell me this, guys, if you don't mind. So what would you say your influences are? And I guess the second part of that question is for our listeners, and we have a pretty good following who really like the rock music. What would you describe your genre as being? So what's your influences? What do you say you guys fit into? Okay.
That one's kind of hard to nail down, to be honest, because everybody in the band is writing. Okay. It's awesome. One of the bands that I've been in where even the drummer can write chord progressions, so basically the writing process has been.
Thanks, Sean.
I was going to say even the bass player can write.
It's amazing when a drummer can actually contribute in that way, and the fact about this band is that we're all open to each other's ideas. We give each other very strong constructive criticism. So some ideas get tossed out and some get worked on. Some of the guys are a little bit more into heavier, like Gojira and stuff, as James is one of his favorite bands. I tend to be more classic rock and grunge. I do lean into like Pantera and stuff like that, depending on taste. And I used to be into like Cannibal Corpse and stuff back in the day, but not so much anymore. And then Ryan, I think he's a Metallica fan, right?
Born and raised, brother.
Yeah,
I like everything though. But yeah, if it weren't for Metallica, I would have never picked the guitar up for sure. I grew up in a real Beatles household, and that's still like he said, as a songwriter, that's probably, I don't know, that's probably where most of my respect goes. My uncle has a record store here in Akron, and that's why I grew up working there as a kid. And it was Beatles. But yeah, then as far as the band, so I've just been saying rock. Like there was a time when we were doing my last band, when we were touring and stuff, there was like almost like a bad word in a way, because you had to be active rock or alt rock or alternative, hard rock alternative. And it was like, why can't we're a rock band? Can we just be a rock band? So as we've been promoting this thing, I'm going to keep calling it that until somebody has a way better word. So I think we're a rock band.
I like rock band.
It's interesting too, though. Everybody's always looking for I guess a category or whatever to hang the shingle on. I will say, Sebastian, being a drummer, I do appreciate what you're saying about drummers writing. I've always kind of got my nose into that process, but I do know an awful lot of people who don't. And then when the royalty checks come out, they're a little, ticked off because they're not partaking. So that's good that that's happening. But back to what you were saying, Ryan, and a friend of ours manages a band called Theory of a Dead Man. He road manages them, and they kind of were pegged into that. They're kind of that, whatever the new kind of genre of rock was, and then they were metal.
We call active rock, yeah.
Yeah, and it just seems like bands don't necessarily try to peg themselves into a corner, but the media and everybody else kind of tries to make it happen. Fair statement?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's because they needed to fall into a lane for like radio and, in a sense, publicity. I don't know what Jamie would say about that, but like, we always had to have a lane. Like my old band one of the things that we had in common with this band was we still wrote whatever we wanted. And when we went through that era of trying to get a record deal, we were meeting with big labels, but they were always like, we don't know what to do with it because everything's too different. Can't you guys just make it one thing? So think about that. So most bands are being told, if you want to be successful, paint yourself into a corner, tone it down, dumb it down. And that's unfortunate. And I think maybe that's changed now, especially with how aggressive the internet is in the success of a band. Like streaming is so big and you can do whatever you want on there, right? But it gives us like this great opportunity in this band. You said something about the royalties. Like this band splits everything evenly. It's like that was one of the first things we decided. Everybody writes. And yes, the drummer sometimes has vocal melodies on a keyboard that he sends out. He's a Berkeley grad. But the other thing is, go ahead.
To add to the point of with the genre thing as well, it's like if you look at bands like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, the Eagles, they were kind of genre fluid on some of their albums.
Absolutely.
There would be influences where you'd have one song that was like a hard rocking song, and the next one there's acoustics and campfire music. It's like. I lean into that kind of thing because there was a quote one time from the producer for Soundgarden, because Chris was in the process of writing an album and he was worried that his new fans weren't going to like the sound that he was, this doesn't sound like Soundgarden because they already had all these records. And the producer was like, well, whatever you come out with is your sound. Yep. And that's always stuck with me. It's like, whatever we make is going to be Monarch. Like if we come out with a heavy song, then it's like, oh, Monarch also does heavy stuff. Monarch also does, more upbeat pop sound and stuff. It's like whatever we do, that's what the band is. So
to your point though, Sebastian, you're talking about Led Zeppelin and Beatles being some of your influences, and you too, Ryan. So you think about an album like Sgt. Pepper's or an album like Led Zeppelin 4. There's totally different genres of all types of music on both those albums. So whatever you offer is going to sound completely different if each song is written completely different. You just have to put them on one album.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that works, best for everybody. One of the best quotes we got was from a producer from where you were from, up by where you guys are, and he said, why chase old fish? Why listen to what's happening now? And then mimic it, because even by the time you get there, it's just not fresh anymore. Do your own thing. All of my favorite bands, especially like if we were to get into the heavier modern stuff, like the Tools and the System of a Downs of the world, those bands just to me are so categorically their own thing. And I hope people find that with our music as we go. I mean, it's right now the first thing we released is radio friendly, but guess what? We love it, and it wasn't written for that purpose. It was a song we loved that just so happens to be super, I guess pop standard, if you will, on the chorus, right? Like at least that's what we're hearing back. But we're gonna have a lot of diversity on this record, and it is way more fun that way.
It's like you and I rehearsed this, Ryan, because I was about to ask a question and you covered it. I think if you have the capability to just sit down and write, and you don't have to worry about a hit, or you don't have to worry about a timeline, or the time's ticking on the meter for the studio, and you can just write, you write whatever you come up with, and that kind of defines your sound. I mean, one of the bands that I absolutely love is King's X.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they can be all over the map. And, you know, so I think that maybe that's what happens when you're not kind of told, okay, Ryan, Sebastian, we need 10 hits on this record. You just write and get it out. And sometimes it might be good, and sometimes you might leave stuff off. But it's a fair statement, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like I think the day of the podcast and the days of now of streaming have opened up this world of identity in the sense that people want to find out who you are now. It seems like the people that are succeeding in this world are truly like themselves in a sense, right? So I feel like, you know, only you can be you. Only no one's ever going to write just like me or just like Sebastian, for example. So if we put the blinders up and do that when we come out, we're going to have something that you can't say we copied anything, and it doesn't fall into the transparency of like what's happening now or whatever. And not that there's anything wrong with that. There's great bands now, but I think the internet era that we're in is celebrating identity and independence. And it's kind of cool because we didn't ask anybody what we should sound like going in. We just wrote it and put it out, went like this. So, you know.
Well, how did that worry too? Because so is that your intention is nowadays, like, and we've seen this a lot with different bands, whereas back in our day, you'd have an album and you went to the store and you bought the album, you listened to the album, you know, over and over and over again. But that's not the case anymore. Now we have a TikTok mentality where people have 15 seconds of attention span. So is your intention is to release like one song every couple of months, or is that what you're going to do?
Until the album, we will release an album. I think I can't speak for Sebastian, but like I said, I grew up in a record store. I miss the days, and I will. If I love something now, I'll grab a vinyl. I have a bunch of them like above me right now. But I love that stuff when you get to see the artwork and you can read the lyrics and you can see the quirkiness of the band, because a lot of times that's where the Easter eggs are, the inside jokes. You know, but I do wish it were more like that. But here's what I think happens though, is we get the song out, and if it's successful, that's awesome, and that's what we want, of course, and it gets big. But the people that want that album from us because they're engaged in what we're doing are going to commit, and they're going to come to our Facebook and our Instagram, and they'll stick. And we're already starting to see that, which is awesome, right? Really, really amazing people and fans. And I know that if we put that vinyl out, they'll comb through it. They'll find mistakes and send them to me. They already are. We were the, yeah. Go ahead, Sebastian.
To that point of the whole album experience, I very rarely just look up a single song and listen to it. I've always been, you recommend an artist to me, I'm going to listen to a whole album. I want to hear the B-sides. I want to hear stuff that isn't played on the radio, because sometimes that's the best stuff in a weird way. You know, like even though it wasn't what you would consider a hit, you know, it still has so much to offer, you know, and I think that that's something people are kind of losing today, sadly, you know. But
you're right.
All right, so you're a throwback, Sebastian, and I'm gonna say this for a lead singer, you're pretty chill, man. I've worked with an awful lot of lead singers that really want to kind of jump off the page, and you know, and so that's good to see. But I want to pick your brain for a second. So we'll play a little game. If I was to say to you, there's 5 albums that you could have, and that was it for the rest of your life, what would those 5 albums be?
I would say Rubber Soul, the Beatles. Core, which is Stone Temple Pilots. Super Unknown, Soundgarden. Boston, the self-titled.
Yep.
And probably Led Zeppelin 3.
3, okay.
Yeah.
So I couldn't put my finger on your sound, because that's obviously 5 very super different kind of directions that, you know, it's interesting that you make a lot of sense to me now. For fun, Ryan, what about you?
Boy, I'll think of a million later that I didn't say. I'll try to go in the same order. I'll say Magical Mystery Tour.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite Beatles record. Master of Puppets.
Yes.
Dark Side of the Moon. I don't want to be cliche, but it stands up. And every once in a while when I want to bust it out, I'm back in there. That's such a great record, and it sets the pace. Geez. Oh, gosh. Maybe Anima by Tool. And boy, Toxicity, System of a Down.
We'll see. And there's my point, because obviously your other guys aren't here, but when I asked you before we started recording if that song had an influence, and you kind of hit the nail on the head of what I was thinking. But your sound does have, you got to get all that going into a blender, and it's coming out the other side, and it's really, really pretty neat.
Yeah, we made a Tool Beatles Metallica sausage called Monarch.
Tubiaca. There you go. Tubiaca.
Yeah, that's right.
Straight up, though, I mean, when I heard that song, it didn't remind me of any one act. To Sean's point, you could hear maybe some influences here and there, but that's what I love. I mean, there's only 8 notes to a scale. I mean, there's only so many beats to a metronome. You can't recreate the wheel every time you write a song. But I mean, guys, I'm going to tell you, it was very fresh and very unique sounding to me, and so that's why I think it's going to really have a great audience. That's
my favorite compliment. Thank you for saying that.
Really, thank you.
Well, and so to that point, Dave brought up a good point. A lot of people write for chops. A lot of people, try to impress the musicians. You guys get in the room, you're sitting down, you're writing for the song, you're trying to come up with something dynamic from a playing perspective. Is it all about the tune? Like what, or is there any formula when you guys are doing it?
Well, I think we all kind of have different styles of writing. I have a phone that's now backed up. I did back it up with thousands of riffs and song ideas. Like some of them have the melody like complete and the choruses and all that stuff. And it's just a matter, because I also play guitar. So it's a matter of, approaching the band with it. Like, what do you think about this? And then sometimes the song morphs from that point. And we don't really think formulaic, because that ends up sounding formulaic, and then people, it'll just kind of disappear into the mist of everybody else's music, Ryan, he will send like entire songs. So I think his style is a little bit different than mine. Like he'll send from beginning to end, it's already mapped out and all that stuff. And it is really impressive, and it has rubbed off on me, because I think like, okay, I need to start like finishing some of these ideas, because I'm a piece writer. Like I like to bring a piece of a song and then let the band develop it, because I've always been a room guy. So this is like a whole new situation where he already has this figured out more than I do. Like he's like, here's the song, and then if it needs to be changed from that point, then it changes. So
yeah, but look at the Beatles, man. You can look at A Day in the Life. What a wicked song. 2 completely different songs put together. So that can happen today in a different genre. You know what I mean? So that could happen anytime. And I like that idea that, you guys have 5 piece or 4 piece?
4 piece.
Yeah. So all these different influences and different backgrounds, you could have. This is why to me, it sounds so unique, I think, because you probably have, different guys writing different things and putting it together that you're all happy with. And I like the way you said that earlier. This song was the first one you released because you're all happy with it. And I think that's awesome. I really do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great. And so the bassist, for example, is one of the, I just think he's one of the best I've ever played with, maybe the best. James, it's Sebastian. Every time he comes in the room, and same with the drummer. I mean, the drummer's incredible, but James writes guitar riffs too, but he's always thinking like a bassist, because he's, there's a lot of bass in our music. We kind of let him run with it. He ties everything together. It's great. But I'm telling you, you're talking about like a technical side. So he writes songs out, but sometimes he brings these riffs, and I'll go cross-eyed trying to figure out exactly what he's doing. Like I got to sit with him. There's a great Metallica video where James is trying to teach Kirk a riff, and he just can't figure it out. And that's how I feel sometimes when James is showing me one of his bass ideas on guitar, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is. But then I pick it up, and now I have this new drive of, okay, wow, like this is great. I can do it, and it's adding to my repertoire. And then like Sebastian will bring, like he said, he'll fix up a chorus like sometimes. So I'll have the music written, and I'll have these ideas lyrically, and I can tell he's not into the chorus or whatever. So he'll come back, we'll get on a video call, and he'll change it for the better. And it opens up my idea. Like, I didn't realize I was boxing him in so much because I'd never worked with anybody quite like him. And he cracks that open for me. And now I just feel like I'm growing a lot as a musician. So like, if you like Monarch, my next band's going to be way better.
There you go. Well, so there's a good point, right? So you own your own label. You guys are on your own label. So
yeah,
you're writing the tunes. As a guy in a band, you're going, okay, I want to basically fulfill that creative need, and I want the songs to be the way that I want them. As a guy that owns a record label that's got to like sign off on stuff, do you get that push-pull where you're maybe fighting over, the business side versus the creative side, or does that ever kind of happen for you?
That's only internal. That's only when I've gone 2 days without touching my instrument, because I spent all day making sure like the socials were tied in with, the distribution and this and that and the other thing. The band's real active in the day-to-day business of Monarch, but no, I don't think so. Sebastian, have you felt any power struggle or anything from us yet that we don't know about? No, it's mostly just because it detracts me from the music part, which is my love, right? But I am enjoying the music, taking it the bull all the way by the horns. I do a lot more in this band than I've ever done, and I've learned a lot doing this too. I was surprised how much I didn't know about what it takes to even release 2 songs, 3 songs, but do it right, have the infrastructure,
Well, you guys would both know this too, though. I mean, and I say this because I'm a musician, and I know musicians, not all of them, but some of them can be lazy. And by that, I mean, they want everybody to do the work for them. They want to, get the spoils and the rewards. So it sounds to me like, does everybody in your band, Jamie reached out to us, and I mean, she was great to deal with. But do you guys all do some of the business side, or do you have some representation in the background that's helping you out on that?
Well, I mean, everybody in the band participates in Monarch business, but as far as like the Brahma side of things, like the funding, it's me and my business partner, Julian, and Jamie is a godsend. She's amazing. She's our publicist. She's been incredible for us. We're working with 1RPM, which is a distribution company, and it seems like their big thing is sort of facilitating this world in which bands can own their own music and masters and rights from the get-go and do it successfully. And they've been amazing as well, because they get us we're out to the whole world right now. It wasn't just a local release of the Fray. And it was complicated at first, right? But I'm learning how to do it. And I feel like rock and roll guys are a little late to this party. I feel like this party, the rappers have kind of figured, a lot of these rappers, if you read the news, they're leaving their labels, they're leaving their masters behind, and they're getting on a distribution company and self-releasing all their music now. Yeah. It's like one after the other. I'm really happy we're doing things this way. I think a lot of people will put that cautionary, you're not going to have the guy who knows the guy. You'll never get the show, and you'll never, we'll see. Right. I mean, I made friends too on the road, but so far that hasn't been the case. It's been finding the right people, looking for the right advice, navigating the bullshit that comes with the music industry, and having a band that's really passionate. And now it's about having incredible fans. They populated our social media so fast that we were like, gosh, what else could we ask for, And now that the YouTube is climbing, I mean, this band's released a song 5 days ago, and we're already, we're just climbing, and it feels good as people are responding to this. It felt like a dirty little secret all through COVID.
Yeah.
We had this.
There was a sweet, I think she's from California. She made a fan page on Instagram.
Yeah, we have our Monarch fan page now.
I was like, she sent it to me, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie.
This is so cool, guys, because and we want to be respectful of your time. We really do, but maybe we'll go some of these statements here. But something that I was thinking about, because we know it's a different world. It's obviously with the pandemic, and even before that, it's a little different world. The days of someone knocking on your garage door, hearing your band rehearse and wanting to sign you to a record label and buy your plane and do all that stuff, those days are over. I'm really impressed with the business acumen you folks have, like this, just doing it right and doing it smart. by owning all these things, doing it as you want without having to be, under the thumb from a record label. I guess what I want to know, and probably our viewers want to know, is what's next for Monarch. We want to see you travel. We want to see you tour. We want to see you play in Halifax one day. What do you got? What's your plans?
Sure. We're in the process of pre-production on the album. Like we said before, we have a list of songs that we're trying to basically whittle down to the 8 that are going to go on the album. And then after that, I mean, we already have a bunch of offers for tours and stuff from what Ryan told me. So it'll be kind of deciding what's best to go from there. Like, I think we're kind of moving one point at a time. Like, music's first and foremost. Interacting with our fans online is first and foremost. And then whenever the whole country starts opening up and the offers are there still, then we start touring. And that's what I really look forward to, honestly, is shows.
Yeah.
Well, and to that point, and then in the day, you used to sign a record deal, obviously to get the recognition, but it was like you were so stinking broke that you signed the deal to get that advance, to get good gear and be able to find a good place to live and eat, right? Yeah. And now it really seems like people are doing it smarter. They're, maybe keeping their day jobs, or they're putting more resources in this thing called the internet that, wasn't invented yesterday. Really, we talked at the beginning, the live stream piece. Now you guys are building your album really through technology. And I think if you don't embrace that, you're going to be in trouble. Now, I know you're a throwback, Sebastian, but you're getting it too, right? And I mean, if you think about, you mentioned Boston, I mean, the way they did that first album was revolutionary compared to the way things were being done then. So I think that's the era that we're in now. That's the age that we're in. It really sounds like you guys have a good handle on it.
We're trying.
You have a fan page, you never toured. That freaks me out a little bit. You have a fan page and you never even played a live show together.
Yeah, that was the sentiment. That was the first, when we did the first congratulatory, like, hey guys, the launch went well. I think that was the bass player's sentiment. The first thing he says, like, we haven't even played a show. Like, what are these people thinking? But again, this is the beauty of doing things at our own pace. It's like we're going to play shows for sure. We're definitely going to start in our hometowns, and we're going to get to the places where people we know where the band's being played on radio. We'll do all of that stuff. But in the meantime, we're going to finish making you this record, and we'll engage on the internet. And people seem to be a little, I mean, that's all anybody's been able to do for the past year and a half anyway. But trust me, when the opportunity comes, we're going to hit the stage. We're going to hit it hard.
Perfect.
All right. So people want to find you guys. Tell them how they find you. Tell them where they get your tunes. Tell them how they make a connection.
Yeah, sure. If you look on Facebook, it's going to be Monarch Music. So just type that into your search bar. It'll have like an MH on the logo, because I know there's a bunch of businesses and stuff called Monarch. So you go there, and then we have link trees and stuff from that page. Pretty much every post that we've been sharing will have that link tree, so that you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram. You can go to our video from that. I think having one central hub is like the easiest way. Yeah, and if you go to YouTube right now and type in Monarch the Fray, it should be the first video that comes up, and I'll be basically bending backwards on the video.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all of it. We're the Amazon Music. We're out there. You just gotta look. In some cases, you do have to type this name of the song in, but we're trying to change that by growing. So we'll get there.
Will you do me a favor, guys? Let's keep in touch over the growth of this band. I can't believe we're 10 months in, and then that video and the production, to Sean's point earlier, is incredible. Like, it looks,
thank you.
It sounds awesome. You know what I mean? And I can't believe you've never played a live show yet. That freaks me out a little bit.
Right. Yeah, it freaks me out too.
Well, you got to keep us in the loop, though. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this has been great, guys. I appreciate you having us on.
No, we appreciate it, because it's interesting out here in Halifax. I mean, we're a little isolated from, back in the day, you never used to get any good concerts because, you come to Halifax and it's like, if you look across, the only thing left after Halifax is England, and it's like, 3,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean, right? So,
right.
But we do have a really neat rock scene here, and I think what you
played Halifax before.
Have you?
I believe so.
Okay.
Once.
Big Hill in
One
the
big
middle
hill.
of town.
Yeah.
And a thing called Donairs, and that's all you need to know.
I'll go back and check. I'm gonna Google it. I'll find out.
Well, you know what? If you shoot me an email. Let me know that. I'd be interested to find that out, because there used to be a lot of cool clubs. We had a kind of thing when Nirvana took off. Sub Pop Records from Seattle came in here, and literally, if you were playing guitar 2 weeks, you were getting a record deal back in the day.
Oh, really?
It was just insane. And of course, I had the foresight to start a band that sounded like a combination of Aerosmith and Extreme. So I wound up in Toronto. I didn't get to stay here, but yeah, a great musical area, great musical sort of culture, and I think they will take to you guys really, really quite nicely. So if you are you spinning on any radio stations and stuff now?
Yeah, slowly but surely, one at a time. We just took on Lincoln, Nebraska today. I did an interview and they're playing the record. So again, that's another thing that we're doing on our own and learning to do, but we're working with some great companies on that. And I know we got picked up the day of the single. We got some stuff in the UK and Canada, fellas.
Yep.
And North Carolina, Denver. And it's going from there. We'll see what happens.
Well, we'd love to be able to get you on up here. So I guess maybe we'll talk to Jamie or something, see if we can't make that happen, because they would really. I think they'll take to you guys. I really do.
Yeah,
we would love it. Let us know.
Great.
Guys, we appreciate it so much. Thanks for coming on Barstools and Bandtalk. We want everybody to be watching out for Monarch. The first video that you're going to see now is the fray. We had some great feedback from I think I aired it about 2 weeks, about a week ago, and folks seem to really, really like it. So. You know what? Keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're doing. We'll help you promote whatever we can. That's what we do.
Sounds great, guys. We appreciate it.
Well, guys, have a great night.
You too. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Barstools